And in Minnesota, we had Timmy Walz over here saying, if you commit fraud in Minnesota, you're going to get caught. And that's exactly what we saw today. We catch criminals when state and federal agencies share information, joint investigations work, and securing justice depends on it. Hasn't fucking retard Timmy here been crying about the feds all year because they're coming in and trying to deport illegals and I repeat myself, but also criminals, right? It's just like, what are we doing here, Timmy? You've been railing against this bullshit. You've been saying there is no fraud and that it's all just like fear-mongering. Shut the fuck up, Timmy. When are you getting arrested? And this guy here posted the City of Minneapolis official account saying, the City of Minneapolis is not involved in the federal operations being reported around Minnesota today. And as of 9:30 a.m., Minnesota Police Department has not been asked to assist with the execution of federal warrants. We understand that any federal actions in our neighborhoods may spark fear among residents, and we will continue to marshal city resources to help the community in the aftermath of Operation Metro Surge. Get absolutely fucked, you lying, duplicitous, demonic entity. And then, Kash Patel quote retweeted this saying, come again? This FBI and DOJ with our DHS partners drafted and executed every search warrant today. But go ahead and take credit for our work while we smoke out the fraud plaguing Minnesota under your governorship. Does he think this kind of blatant lying will get people to say, oh, he's not implicated in it, this proves it? Bro, you have lost any benefit of the doubt so fucking long ago. It is by a miracle that we are stand-up individuals, that he has not been tarred and feathered. It's also just a straight trap. They'll prosecute and conveniently quiet drop the charges to let them get away with it, or they'll leak tips to help the criminals avoid getting caught. Yeah, the justice system is absolutely captured in Minnesota. We've seen some of the fraud people from the Feeding Our Future get off basically scot-free. It's actually insane. The Quality LEaring Center in Minneapolis has been raided by the FBI as part of the Trump admin's fraud crackdown. The FBI raided more than 20 locations, including childcare centers, as part of a sweeping fraud investigation into largely Somali-owned businesses. Fuck yeah! I want to see more raids, brother! Let's fucking go!
Large-scale raids targeting federal fraud. Currently underway, federal agents seen leaving the Quality Learning Center.
LEaring.
And Brooke Taylor has more on that and what they're looking for. Brooke, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good morning. Yeah, we have had a photographer there at the daycare since this morning, capturing video of those federal agents just going in and out of the building, collecting evidence as part of the DOJ's fraud investigation in Minnesota. Take a look at this video here. Sources tell Fox that federal agents are raiding about 22 businesses across Minneapolis this morning, and sources say many of them are tied to Somali-owned operations. All of this comes after that viral YouTube video from Nick Shirley. It was back in December. In that video, he visited different child care centers, and you'll remember they were either closed or there were just no children inside, despite receiving state child care funding. Now, the location that you're looking at right now, it's the Quality Learning Center. This is the daycare. It went viral. It blew up on social media because of a sign outside with learning that was literally misspelled.
Get fucked. I don't hold hope that like justice will actually be served, but I love seeing this happening. If we want actual justice served here, we still need to get rid of the activist judges. That is the one thing still impeding all of this from being wrapped up with a nice little bow ending in repayments, restitution, and deportations.
Danger is real. Like, for instance, last time I was in California, a few trips back, people were trying to dox my location live. I was at a hotel, and people were up on Reddit group chats saying where I was staying. And it's happened a few times now, so it's like almost even dangerous for me to go stay at hotels because you can get doxxed really quick, and people can find out where you're at. You get constant death threats from people. The fraudsters are angry. In fact, yeah, they're very angry. I've had death threats, and one of them was even very specific about the date. It's actually supposed to be coming up very soon, the date that they said they'd kill me. So that was interesting.
That's
worrying. You just get all these death threats, you get doxing. But the majority of the public are very thankful. Like when I'm out in public, so many people come up to me and say thank you. is actually interesting. At Sacramento, when I was just there, so many people were saying thank you, but the people inside the building, they all hate me because I'm exposing their corruption. But the people love me.
Nick, the bond
danger is real.
He's just like Trump, for real, for real. It's pretty telling that California is trying to pass laws to stop citizen journalists like Nick Shirley, but don't give a shit about ass clowns like Vitaly or Hassan. I have no idea what Vitaly has done, but yeah, trying to institute some kind of Nick Shirley act in order to stop the exposing of fraud kind of points to that not only did you know about it, but you're probably complicit in it. That's like an admission of guilt at that point.
So the threats and the risk are actually very real. In fact, today, April 27th, is a day that I'm supposedly supposed to die according to a threat made on the internet. In fact,
this is going to be you on April 27th, 2026 in a muddy ditch alongside the highway with your mother. What the fuck? Enjoy your last couple of months, buddy. There is not enough repercussions for people who do this kind of shit. Like, it's actually wild. And I mean, like, Nick is obviously far more in the crossfires than a lot of people. But it's like, even as a content creator, like, the amount of, like, threats and people who put out your personal information so that bad actors can use it and do things, I think is very bad. It's gotten to an insane point. And because of how violent certain factions are, I just see that, like, anyone posting any sort of personal information about location where someone is, you are directly wanting that person to die. Like, I have long said that, like, I am incredibly against doxing, and the worse that the climate has gotten, anyone who posts that kind of shit, you are asking for death to happen. You are wanting to sit there with a popcorn bucket and watch someone's life be ended. And it's disgusting.
It's a photo of me in a ditch with a decapitated head that says, "This is going to be you on April 27th, 2026 in a muddy ditch alongside the highway with your mother. Enjoy your last couple of months, buddy." So I share this not to scare people, but to more so show them what it's actually like kind of being in the political climate, not just seeing it from the outside, but being someone who's actually living through it, especially with the last assassination attempt on Donald Trump. The threats are real, and you do have a small percentage of the country, even if it's just 1%, that has gone radical. And now I'm not sharing this stuff with you guys to make you guys scared for me. More so, I'm just sharing this so you guys can actually understand what it's actually like.
And I think this is a good idea as well, right? He's not trying to, like, pity party. He's just like, this is the reality. If you try to uncover fraud, if you go against leftists specifically, if you go against, like, these kinds of radical people who are trying to protect these embedded systems, if you speak out against that, this is what your reality is going to be. And that's why quite a lot of people don't bother speaking up.
Living in the political climate. A lot of you guys see it from the outside, but very few people actually enter into the arena. And for me, when I exposed the Minnesota fraud, I was forced to enter into that arena after everything took place. Whether between exposing billions of dollars in fraud, the riots that took place, the shootings that took place, it created a crazy atmosphere where my name was in the forefront of it. And at that time, actually, in Minnesota, you had people posting signs on street poles that said this. These were on signs in Minnesota. It says, "Nick Shirley brought ICE to Minnesota. He helped kill Renee Good. Do not let him in your business." If you...
That is fucking wild. Nobody helped kill Renee Good except for herself and her fucking dumb bitch of a wife. You don't get to try and run over federal officers and go, tee-hee, I'm just a girl. Like, anyone who told them that they could do that is insane. Anyone trying to blame Nick Shirley for ICE being in Minnesota carrying out lawful deportations is also crazy.
See this man, tell him to kill himself. This is just an example of some of the crazy stuff that was said and posted around the internet, and not on.
And also, I see a few people in chat saying it as well, that he's an actual journalist. This is how you know when someone is an actual journalist. They're going to get very real, very visible death threats because they're saying things that the Fifth Estate does not want them to say. This is why everyone hates journalists in current year, because most of these journalists want to protect their status and their access, and they will lie and they will protect the elites and the people who do damage to our country instead of doing actual journalism like Nick Shirley's been doing.
On the internet, but on literal street polls inside of Minnesota. And a lot of other stuff took place, such as people saying Charlie Kirk needs a sequel. Send a Nick Shirley hate mail.
I've gotten so many of those Charlie Kirk messages, it's not even funny. It's just like, it's like eating breakfast now. It's like, oh, well, another person telling me I should be Charlie Kirk. Time to eat some more Fruit Loops.
Needs to be deported to Russia so he can be a Nazi there. Nick Shirley is a Nazi. Nazis don't deserve to live in the Midwest, and we are kicking them all out until their ideology is dead.
They don't call you a Nazi because you are one. They call you a Nazi because it marks you as an acceptable target for violence.
You will pay for your crimes, don't worry. And then at the same time, you have the people these people listen to watching clips of very popular streamers on the internet openly saying stuff like this.
My understanding of it is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
I remember
you have people getting riled up. In fact, in Minnesota, you even had Ilhan Omar in the back of a truck bed riling up protesters. They even canceled school.
Well, I mean, Ilhan Omar is very obviously involved in the fraud, especially since she's the one who wrote the rules for the Feeding Our Future bullshit. She has the most incentive to not have people find out about this fraud. Because if people find out, she gonna get deported if we have any real people left in the government. And when her family gets deported back to Somalia, well, there's going to be a lot of angry people that her father was a general participating in war atrocities.
And it led to even more people going out into the streets of Minnesota. But I'm talking about these threats because they actually are real. And after they tried to assassinate Donald Trump for the 4th time, I figured, all right, I'll share my experience with this as people are openly making threats to me as well. Now, these are...
There are some people who want to equate like Nick Shirley and those of us on the right who say like they just want to kill you to the kind of same fear-mongering of like the transgender people saying if you play Hogwarts Legacy you're literally killing a trans person. It's not the same. Theirs are not rooted in reality, whereas those of us on this side, we get tons of death threats. We get credible threats. We get all of this heinous action towards us, and we typically have the proof to show it. It's just like, it's... If you start posting every single threat you get, it would be overwhelming. It would just be like, that's the only thing you talk about. And so you just don't, right? And the more that you talk about it every time it happens, the more it'll encourage people who don't even want you dead, but to just fuck with you and give you like more crazy threats to just add to your pile because they can get a reaction out of you.
Just a few of them. I still get threats consistently when I go travel now. I have to have security, and it's all for exposing fraud, which is a bit...
Oh, sorry, it was Ilhan Omar's grandfather. I thought it was her father. My bad. It was the grandfather who was the army guy.
Crazy to think that for exposing billions of dollars in fraud, now I've exposed $2 billion fraud industries with what happened in Minnesota and also what happened in California with the hospices and the Medicare fraud that took place there underneath Medi-Cal. And that fraud is so big, and this fraud that's taking place inside our country is so big and so deep that you're seeing it. It's very hard to unravel because that's how intertwined the fraud is.
And this is why I don't think Doge should have shut down when it did. Elon Musk said that people thought it was like an apple with a lot of worms in it, but it's actually just a ball of worms in the shape of an apple. And it's like, that's bad, man.
Minnesota have been charged and have been caught for fraud in the autism centers, in the daycares with Feeding Our Future. In fact, the daycare that I visited in the video that had received around $3.6 million was that daycare that was running Feeding Our Futures. And when I showed up to their daycare, there were no kids. In fact, that lady who was running that daycare even tried to flee to the United Kingdom, but was stopped at the airport.
Holy
and then
shit.
She played.
I didn't even see those articles. That's fucking wild. And I pay attention to this shit. That's crazy.
Guilty here inside the United States. So these people are getting caught. However, the prosecutions and these arrests are taking a lot longer than we all want. But the fraud is very real. And for you to expose fraud inside the United States, you'd think it'd be celebrated, especially by the governments inside of these states. However, as you guys have seen time and time again, the governors then come out defending the fraudsters versus the person exposing the fraud, creating this weird paradox where their radicalized group of a small percentage, the public that they're trying to speak to and the public that they're trying to get their votes from, then has that little subset of people who actually are radicalized, and they then go after the person exposing the fraud, while the majority
I think he severely underestimates how much has been radicalized, because it's like there are the people who will cheer for the death when it happens, but they would never actually do it themselves. I see those people as the exact same like level of radicalization, right? Like they want the death to happen, they will cheer when it does happen, if it happens, but they wouldn't actually go and do the action. They are the same level of radicalized. The only difference is that one is stimulated enough to actually go do the action.
The country, I would say about more than 90% of the country is happy that this fraud is being exposed, because we all pay taxes and we don't like to see our money go to waste.
I wish it was 90%, man.
When politicians, for instance, Governor Tim Walz, is exposed and this billion-dollar fraud ring that's been going underneath him is exposed, he then comes out and says that you are a white supremacist for going after the fraud. You're a delusional far-right conspiracy theorist. However,
Yep.
he then drops out for running for re-election because of the fraud. That's how deep it is. But yet he wants to perceive you to the public as if you're some delusional far-right conspiracy theorist, or that you're a white supremacist for exposing the fraud, because then that makes you look like the bad person. Meanwhile,
now, I don't necessarily think Tim Walz is a communist, but he has spent a lot of time around communists, and he is adopting their subversive tactics. If you can just call someone bad terms that will cause everyone to attack them, it discredits their words, no matter how rooted in reality their words are. As soon as they are marked with one of the magic spells, white supremacist, Nazi, fascist, etc., everything they've said has been discredited by those words in the minds of a lot of people. And now they are also acceptable to be attacked, because not only are their words that are rooted in reality now warped into some kind of that's not true, that's a lie. All right, it's not a lie. It's what's happening in reality, but you're not supposed to believe your lying eyes. And then that person is just going to be made persona non grata. They're going to get tons of threats. They're going to be harassed. Their job might be harassed if they have one. Their family will be harassed. The worst thing you can do, and I've seen some VTubers do this before, where they get like, you know, maybe one dedicated auntie or something that just like continuously annoys the fuck out of them. And then their information gets out, and then they get harassed even more, and that shouldn't happen. And hopefully they go to the police. But then they make posts about like, it's fine when it's me, but as soon as you go after my family, that's where I draw the line. You don't phrase it like that, because that will encourage them to further attack your family. You have just told them that you can stalwart all of their attacks, but they will get a reaction out of you if they attack your family. So now what do you think the course of action is going to be? There will be less attacks on you and more on your family, because that is what gets the reaction.
Less people think about what he has actually done. Or Ilhan Omar being in the back of a truck bed riling up protesters to go against ICE and abolish ICE. Meanwhile, there are billions of dollars of fraud that's been taking place underneath her district. And then let's take California, for example. I go there and I expose $170 million in fraud that actually exposes a whole entire billion-dollar industry. Well, what does the governor do? The governor then posts an AI-generated image of myself looking like a pervert going into daycares asking, where are the kids? Well, the thing...
And this is where, like, the level of danger that Nick Shirley in gets completely fucking crazy. The fact that Governor Newsom's press office made this kind of meme calling Nick Shirley a pedophile for trying to investigate fraud, that should be absolutely unacceptable for any kind of politician. Like, that's not a joke. That's this man is a pedophile for trying to investigate fraud. Deeply hate my mother-in-law. Please don't bother her. Exactly. Never let them see you bleed. And it is intensely unfair. It is very unfair because I know the exact feeling of like, I should be able to talk about these things that are happening. I should be able to say my feelings. I should be able to like say certain things without having to worry about the exact way that I fucking phrase them because I'm being harassed, right? But it's like, you can't do that. And it is very unfair and you just have to accept that. And it fucking sucks sometimes.
The thing is, there were actually never any kids to start off with. However, millions and billions of dollars is being stolen from the people of California and the people of the United States because that money is also federal money. Yet they want to make me look like the bad person for exposing that fraud. Once again, that then goes and radicalizes a small percentage of the country. Even if a small percentage of the country is radicalized, let's say just 1%, that is 3 million people. Now let's just say 0.5% of the country is radicalized and they do believe what they hear in the news or what they hear from the people they listen to. For instance, just the idea of letting red capitalist blood soak in the streets. So then let's say that 0.5% of the country is radicalized. That is still 1.5 million people. That's a very large size army. Like, that's a huge amount of people that are then radicalized. And when you're walking around in public spaces where there's thousands of people, all it takes is just one radicalized person to do something crazy. And when you think about that, it makes you realize how crazy the political climate here is inside the United States when you have been hearing people on the right be called Nazis, fascist, far right, everything to then make the radicalized 0.5.
Yeah, Sam Hyde would still do
1%, even if it's 0.1%, that's still 300,000 people. So you have a small percentage of the country who are quite literally radicalized into believing that they need to go out and kill you. They need to go out and stop you because you are a far right fascist. You are a Nazi, when in reality, you are nothing even close to that. And so they use these.
It's been crazy seeing some people like warp things to an insane degree. Like seeing some fucking schizophrenics on Twitter being like, Kirsche, #1 Shadman fan, definitely a pedophile, fascist, Nazi, white supremacist, needs to be taken out. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It's like every time I see this schizophrenic shit, it gets even more wild than the last time. I'm like, where's it gonna go now? How's the story gonna end?
Trigger words to then radicalize a small subset of the country. And it's actually working. That's the terrifying part. We had Charlie Kirk, who was brutally and horrifically assassinated in front of thousands of people.
And this is why I think he's severely underestimating the number of radicals. I think he might be maybe kind of close to the number of people who might like do an action because of the radicalization, but he's so far off on the number of people who've been radicalized. And I think Charlie Kirk showed us that very, very opaquely, unfortunately. When it's like, when you realize, you know, the school teachers, your neighbors, people in your friend circle would 100% cheer if you were killed, it's kind of a sobering realization.
Just one radicalized individual who then went and took his life. You've had 4 people try and kill President Trump. I receive messages frequently saying that they're coming for me or they would like to kill me, which is quite frankly a bit crazy. Then you walk the streets and all people are thankful for you for doing what you're doing, which is great to see. However, like I said, even if it's just 0.1% of the population, that is still 300,000 people. Say it's 1%, 3 million people, which is a large army. And so when you think about what's happening in the country, it actually is a bit terrifying, and we are leaving farther and farther away from just the common sense or the idea that people won't even have conversations with other people or be friends with others because of your political beliefs, which I don't even think that should be a thing. I think you should be able to have friends on the left, you should be able to have friends on the right, and at the end of the day, you can come together, because when you read the Constitution, I've always said, and I've looked over and been reading it and studying it over the past few weeks, I think the most important words are the first 3 words that say "we the people." It never said "we the people" on the Republican Party, "we the people" on the Democratic Party, we need the best for our party. It says "we the people." Like, America was created to bring forth a better society, and we are the best society. Every other country had thousands of years.
The only way that we can keep our Constitution the way it is, completely unmolested, and the way that our country became the greatest empire, is to go back to the rule of thumb that communists aren't people. As long as we continuously give communists the benefit of the doubt and the benefit of our principles, it will continuously erode us until we are no more, as it has done to every single country trying to be a burgeoning empire in the past. Communism is a cancer on a country that needs to be cut out. And the fact that communism is not treated with the same ire as Nazism is confounding to me. And the fact that people will try to paint me as a bad person for saying that communists should be treated the way as Nazism is also insane.
To do it, we've had 250 years to do it, and everyone to this day wants to come here. They want to know more about the United States, and we are the powerhouse of the world, essentially. Everything runs through the United States. The dollar is supreme for a reason. And that's because of what made America great in those first 250 years. And now for these next 250 years, what's that going to look like if we can't even have a conversation with a Democrat and a Republican? It's actually...
I don't know if he's wording this super carefully because he's not used to giving political opinions, but it's like, we're already there, buddy. We're already at the you cannot have a conversation with these people. Unfortunately. I wish that there was more hope, but that's just not reality.
Very terrifying. And I want to make this video, it's a bit different than anything I've ever posted here on this channel, but I just want to show you guys and tell you guys from a perspective of somebody who's actually living inside of the arena, not just an outsider speculating or being a critic. In fact, I'm quite frankly on the streets going about making these videos, showing what's happening inside our country. And from the perspective of just the of everyday Americans, our country is so huge and diverse, and it's so big and so amazing, and the perspective and point of view you get from people out in public is what actually makes journalism great, is because you actually need the source from the people. You don't need the source from somebody sitting behind a podcast desk. Quite frankly, you need it from the people. So that's what I personally try to do, so people can see it for what it is. And I believe President Trump said something super important after the assassination attempt just the other night.
Can I ask why so many people record these things in their car? I just noticed he was in his vehicle. Why do so many people do that? I don't understand.
I want to play that clip right here.
Studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people.
The audio was great. Really interesting. I'll have to try that sometime.
The people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this, where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after. They don't go after the ones that don't do much because they like it that way. And when you look at the people that have either, whether it was an attempt or a successful attempt, they're very impactful people. Just take a look at the names there, the big names. And I hate to say I'm honored by that, but I've done a lot. We've done a lot. We've taken this country, and we were a laughing stock for years, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We've changed this country, and there are a lot of people that are not happy about it.
I always find it interesting when people on the left say that our allies no longer respect us or whatever, where it's like, I see it as they were gleefully smarmy about how much they were able to take advantage of us, and now they get to whine when we take them to task instead. It's like, of course people are going to pretend to like you if they're taking advantage of you, because as soon as you think that they don't like you, you're not going to give them as much. But it's like, the fact of the matter is like, we've been taken advantage of for so fucking long that it just became normal, unfortunately.
And now if you look at the past as far as who's been assassinated between Abraham Lincoln, MLK, John F. Kennedy, Charlie Kirk, they are going after people who are doing something good for society. They only go after the people that are actually creating an impact. And for that same reason, I believe that's why people come after me for exposing fraud, because it is making an impact and it is taking down billion-dollar fraud industries. And so
abso-fucking-lutely. And like I've said every time we've watched one of his videos, I hope he has crazy good security. I hope he continues to get good security, because he's going to fucking need it if he's going to keep doing stuff outside. I don't want him to get assaulted in any way, especially like Andy Ngo did, right? That would be horrific to see happen. And he's absolutely right about when people come after you in this manner, it's because you're doing something that they don't want you to be doing. Even like when I was going through shit last year, Asmongold said they're going after someone like her because they can't do anything to me. They try and pick softer targets that they can silence before they get anywhere.
When you're doing something good and you're doing something impactful, a sign that you're doing something good is actually by receiving pushback from the opposition, because we've learned that the fraudsters do complain the loudest, and those that are committing the crimes are also complaining the loudest because they don't want their crimes and their fraud to be exposed. And so when you're doing...
He might not be able to afford good security. Dude's got like almost 2 million subs. I bet he's making like at least triple the amount that I'm making.
Something impactful for the common good of the people. Be ready and expect the opposition to come after you. It's just a sad reality that we are living in. I don't think that it's going to change anytime soon. In fact, it might only get worse. So I just want to share this perspective with you guys. And what happens in public affects what happens in the private.
He earns his money, no doubt. Yeah, huge respect for the people that go out on the ground and do this. It is a likely very stressful experience, but I have nothing but respect for the people who go on the ground and do that.
For instance, if people are calling you all sorts of things and creating all these sorts of narratives and lies in the public, what happens to you privately is a bit different. The perspective from an outside then affects who people think you are actually. And for instance, in my case, I remember I exposed this fraud, and I remember just receiving like an onslaught of messages, both positive and negative, from people I haven't talked to in years. And some people are obviously in support, and some people are saying like, why are you doing this? Like, what's this? Like, calling you all sorts of stuff, when in reality you're just going about doing a public service here. You have a lifelong friend who is no longer your friend for simply just exposing that, or family members who just stop talking simply because of that, or just friends that one day you're talking, you're having a great conversation, and before the fraud, and then you expose the fraud and never ever to be seen again. It's just really weird stuff that happens when you go out and you do something that does make a difference. And that's just kind of the consequences, and maybe not so the consequences, but what happens when exposing the truth. And I want to share this quote while I wrap this up. There's a super powerful quote. It's by Mark Twain, actually. And it says, "The truth has no defense against a fool determined to believe a lie."
Unfortunately,
that might be the most true quote I've ever read. The truth has no defense against a fool determined to believe a lie.
Once again, pretty similar to, again, Yuri Bezmenov saying that you can tell someone the truth, you can show them facts in black and white, and if they have been propagandized and demoralized enough, they will not believe it. They will not believe objective reality until the boot is on their neck.
You can't convince a fool who's determined to believe a lie to believe the truth. In this world, there are things that are truth and stuff that is not truthful, obviously. And we must pursue those things and those actions and the beliefs that follow with truth. I'm a firm believer that there is truth, yes, and there are just stuff that is completely false in this world. And it's our responsibility to seek the truth, go after it, and pursue it. And don't be that fool who's determined to believe a lie. And thank you very much.
And the truth is not always nice or pretty or happy, but it is still the truth regardless. And to ignore the truth is to live in a delusional reality.
Much for watching this video. If you do want to help support the work that I am doing, you can go to antifraudclub.com. There we have hoodies available, other ways for people to support as well. It's a crazy time we're living in, and I thought this video would bring some extra perspective to what's happening inside our country. And I guess that's it. Thank you very much. I know this video is a lot different, and we'll get back to the regular programming in just the next few days as we have even more fraud to expose, believe it or not.
Hopefully he stays safe and continues exposing le frauds. BBC News World said French teen who licked vending machine straw faces jail in Singapore. I don't know what the fuck that means, so I'll have to click on that in a second. But Oren McIntyre said Singapore figured out how to have a multicultural society. Authoritarianism. Small government is downstream from shared traditions and norms that are so deeply ingrained that the state doesn't need to enforce them. Without that, the state must rule with a strong hand. And Elon replied with, yup. And so Oren replied with, that means you have to stop importing Indians, Elon. Actually fucking hilarious. And hopefully Elon takes it seriously. Fucking got him. Exactly. Fucking got him, brother, man. You fucking love Oren? I love Oren, and I also love how much fucking what's his face? That guy who went really fucking crazy. Is that James Lindsay, the one that went crazy recently with like the Dark Archangel Michael, false light deceivers, soy right? Do not read. Yes, yeah. He like freaks out about Oren McIntyre. Like I'll see a tweet and I'm like, oh, he wrote a couple of sentences, and then I hit see more and it's like a fucking college dissertation. I'm like, what the actual fuck? James Lindsay went crazy years ago. I always thought he was like super fucking intelligent, but like his breakdown has been crazy to watch. It burnt Elon's ass that time. I love a good old ass burning, as it were. Also, Rand Paul here with a strange tweet. The Fourth Amendment isn't optional. If the government wants to read your messages, search your data, or spy on you, they need a warrant. Period. My Fourth Amendment Restoration and Protection Act ends warrantless surveillance of Americans. And it's like, well, if it's not optional, why do you have to introduce a new act? Couldn't you just start enforcing the actual law? Potentially? Maybe? Like this guy right here, I don't know who Adam Placker is. He doesn't even have a bio. But he said, the Fourth Amendment is the law of the land. Anything Congress passes, anything counts, suggests outside of that is treasonous and illegal. The solution to Fourth Amendment violations isn't a restoration act. It's to prosecute and violently punish those who violate it. I don't know about violently punish, but like, yeah, I agree. It is treasonous to try and legislate around things like that. Which is, again, if we want to keep our Constitution and the principles that we do hold dear, we need to stop applying them to people who wish to use them to cause us harm. Repeal the Patriot Act? Repeal the fucking Patriot Act, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Inner Grove Heights has become the latest city to restore the Minnesota state flag. A movement is happening right now. And he continues saying, this one's a big deal. Inner Grove Heights is a Democrat-held city. The new flag is a monstrosity. People are waking up. And I don't know if like you can convince your local politicians to reinstate the original Minnesota flag instead of the obviously Somalian flag that they've been trying to tout out. But I would say contact your local representatives. Tell them to remove the Somalian flag and replace it with the Minnesota flag. Get them out. Get them out. And even if they decide that they don't want to bring back the Minnesota flag over the Somalian one, you at least will get a really interesting answer that you can post on social media and show everyone how your local politician is a dipshit. The flag has been recaptured. I love Capture the Flag, man. Someone go find Shia LaBeouf. He can help. We have Ilhan Omar being the retard that she is. Her and Tim Walz, there's just like a pair of retards sitting in a tree. She said, the last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used during World War XI. Matt Walsh said, our founding fathers never even considered the possibility that illiterate third world women would one day be shipped into this country and then elected to Congress. We're discovering a method of national suicide that never even entered the minds of the founders. And I would like to expand on that. Ilhan Omar is such a fucking retard that she doesn't know what Roman numerals are. That's fucking... She read World War and then the numeral 2 as 11.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Wait a minute, hold on. Are you saying that it's a bad thing that we deported Germans during World War II? Are you saying we should have let them stay here and create a different Nazi party? This time with blow and hookers, maybe? She even paused before saying it as if she was like, hold up, this doesn't seem right. This is not an American. This is not an individual that should be in our Congress. She needs to be investigated for fraud. She needs to have her assets seized, and she needs to be deported. Somalia might have had 11 wars since she's been alive. True and real. Begs the question, what about wars 3 through 10? All the Nazis. All of the world wars, all Nazis. Even World War I, Nazis. Millennial Chicken, thank you for the 8 months. Ilhan Omar has less IQ than DSP, has genuine fans. No. Have I disagreed? She should not be allowed to escape by deportation. Absolutely seize her assets, though. I mean, if we could get her tried for treason, that'd be great. But, like, I don't see that happening.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this. I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile.
When did you stop beating your wife trap? I didn't even know that was a trap question until you guys brought it up to me. But that's interesting thing to say, journalist.
You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're disgraceful.
I fucking love seeing him talk to journalists like that. The duplicitous, disgusting people who call themselves journalists and do nothing of the sort. Journalistic integrity is dead in the mainstream. Holy based. Yeah, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely, man. This chief engineer account, I'm pretty sure I brought them up before. It says, people ask, how can we help? How do we know if we're making a difference? Here's how, and here's proof. When Americans flood perm job postings with real applications, it forces companies to admit the truth. They're not short on talent. They're not desperate for foreign labor. They're overwhelmed with qualified Americans. This tweet is their confession. They call it a DDoS attack. We call it accountability. Because when the system has to respond to hundreds of qualified Americans, the fake shortage collapses. So what can you do? Expose hidden perm jobs, and there's the jobs.now website that I have promoted multiple times before. This is proof your effort matters. Every application, every share, every signature puts pressure on a system designed to shut you out. They're angry because it works. Let's keep going. There's a whole lot of heroes in our movement, and you are changing the game, and it's being felt worldwide. And this is a screenshot of someone named Anna Gorish. I don't know who that is. Saying flooding companies with unserious applications just to deny an H-1B worker permanent resident sponsorship is the labor market equivalent of a DDoS attack. Every applicant who appears to meet the minimum requirements must be contacted and all communication documented. Well, it's not an unserious application if they meet the minimum requirements now, is it? Retard. Resumes might be fake, or there may be a key skill they are missing, but no HR department has the capacity to follow up with hundreds of facially qualified applicants, so they just give up. These petty assholes are trying to hack a legal process just to spite someone else they know nothing about and have never met. Yeah, I know that they want to come to my country and loot it and bring that gold and whatnot back to their country, so fuck them actually. I hope everyone continues who's an American citizen to flood this website with applicants if they are qualified for the job. Please do that. Please send in applications if you qualify for a job to deny the H-1B visa market. Why give up when Indians lie all the time? Exactly. Facially quantified means it looks like they qualify on the surface. Thank you. I was like, I don't know if I should pronounce that facially or facially. Pneumonia. AAC announced a few hours ago that they're suing a company for discriminating against U.S. workers. Oh? Harmeet Delon saying, we just sued Cloudera for discriminating against U.S. workers in favor of foreign visa holders for high-paying tech jobs. This is a violation of the Immigration and Nationality Act, and civil rights will not hesitate to sue employers for discriminating against U.S. workers. You are on notice. This is also why when the EEOC came out and said if you've been discriminated against, you know, the equal rights protections are not just for perceived minorities, they are also there for men and for white people. And so if you have been discriminated against, you should submit a complaint to the EEOC. You can make a difference. You can! Civil Rights Division sues Cloudera for excluding U.S. workers from applying to high-paying jobs. Today, the Justice Department Civil Rights Division announced that it filed a lawsuit against Cloudera, a Santa Clara, California-based technology company, for violating the Immigration and Nationality Act by intentionally discriminating against U.S. workers in favor of hiring workers with temporary visas. The complaint was filed with the Office of the Chief Administrative Hearing Officer, which has jurisdiction over cases arising under the INA. Employers cannot use the PERM sponsorship process as a backdoor for discriminating against U.S. workers, said Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Delon of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. The division will not hesitate to sue companies who intentionally deter U.S. workers from applying to American jobs. And this is why I encourage people to go to that jobs.now website. Go to jobs.now, find jobs that you qualify for, send in applications, deny H-1B visas to these greedy corporations. We need to gut the H-1B program and prosecute any company who tries to exploit the system to avoid hiring Americans. Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only do we need to fix all of the issues with the system, and I'm glad that Trump put that, like, what is it, $100,000 per H-1B visa? Like, you need to pay that if you want to get one or some shit. The companies also should pay huge fines. The complaint alleges Cloudera intentionally created a separate recruitment and hiring process to deter U.S. workers from applying, and also did not consider them for lucrative technology jobs that the company earmarked for people with temporary employment visas. Cloudera created an email account that did not allow external emails, but still instructed applicants to use that unworkable email address to apply for jobs. The division received a charge of employment discrimination from one U.S. worker who tried to apply using the email account Cloudera set up, but received a bounce-back notification. When sponsoring current employees under the Permanent Labor Certification Program, or PERM, Cloudera purposefully failed to recruit U.S. workers in good faith. One guy. Employment discrimination from one U.S. worker. You could be that one worker, chat. All it takes is one person. Be the butterfly who flaps his wings.
But I am flying! And from way up here you all look like little ants!